Hi and welcome to the next episode in our 2D tracking series. In this episode we're looking at 4-point tracking, or to use its proper name, corner pinning. So let's first take a look at how we do that. I have a video clip in the background and an image plane with, if I reveal the material, with just a Blender logo on top there. So corner pinning is all about deforming an image plane in order to make it fit the movement of your image clip. Whether that's changes in perspective or scale, the corner pins will hold the image in the correct position during the clip. So to take a look at this, let's just set up our plane. And if I scroll in a bit and switch to edit mode, as you see the plane obviously has 4 corners and we need to put those into position. So if I press G, I can adjust the clip and position it however I like. There we go, so now we are in the position. However, you can see that the image is deformed slightly, so we need to just quickly add a modifier on there, and that will be the subdivision surface. And as you can see, as soon as we put that on, the image starts to correct itself. However, we don't want the Catmull-Clark version because that rounds the edges. What we need is the simple, which just cuts the mesh in its own way. And that's it. There we have the Blender logo on the scene. However, if we were to scrub through our timeline as we go in frames, then we begin to see that the plane moves off where we had it originally, and that means we would have to adjust and keyframe all the vertices, which would include having to put shape keys in order to keep the image in the correct position, and that's not optimal. It will take forever, and as you can see we have no real reference in this wall here to give us the correct location for the pins. So this is where corner pinning comes in. We need to have 4 points to track our plane, and in this video what we're going to do is simply replace this door with a different image of a different door. So let's get on with that. Let's go to objects mode. We don't need this one. It would be incredibly difficult to track this wall here. As you can see, there is no points to track. If you wanted to actually put something on the wall, it would benefit you to stick some little blue tack sticky pads on the wall just to give you the tracking options that you need. So let's get on with the tutorial and head over to the motion tracking, and we will open up our clip. And as I said, we are going to replace this door. So let's first go to the first frame and do the things that we need to do. So first, set the scene frames. If I click that, then you can see that our timeline has jumped from its default position down to 229 frames, which is the length of the clip. And if we press prefetch, the video will load into the cache. You can see it moving along there quite nicely, although slowly. It has stopped. And so it's going again. Okay, we'll just leave that to do its thing. Okay, so in this clip we are moving the camera towards the door, and as we do so the door fills up more of the camera space, and like I said before, without the corner pinning we would have to make adjustments to our image, and it would be a lot of work, and it's likely that our results would not be that great. Instead, all we need to do is simply track the 4 corners of the door. So hold down Control and left click into the corners of the area that you want to track. So there we go, 4 points. Now let's just scroll in a bit and just select the point, and using this preview window in the corner, we're just going to adjust the position of the tracks and make sure they're exactly where we want them. That's fine, and that's fine. So then press A, that deselects everything, and press A once more, and that reselects all the things in the scene. So now we can just hit the track forward button and let it run through until the end. In this scene it shouldn't take too long, although the computer is being quite slow today for some reason. I blame it on OBS, but I've not really had this problem. Mostly it's because the computer's old crap and doesn't have much RAM anymore. It's old. It's a wee beastie. Okay, so that's done. We got through it mostly. However, we did lose the track on this bottom corner, so we need to go in and fix that. So if I right click it, and we can see we lost it way back here at frame 204. So if we move on to the first frame where we are not tracking, and if we grab the track, just move it into position. If we go back a few frames, we begin to see that we lost it quite a way back. Okay, we'll continue the track from 131, so we'll clear everything forward of that. That just leaves a blank track, and we will track forward manually for a few frames. Keep an eye on what the track's doing, making sure it doesn't slide anywhere. Once we're good, we'll just hit the track forward, and we lost it again. Go back. Horrible, horrible. That's X to delete that track, and let's track it backwards. So go to the first frame, just go to the last frame, press Ctrl, and now we will start the track from this end where we have a good look at this tracking point, and we will track it backwards, see if we can get it that way. We lost it at frame 171, so just left click in there, just bring it back into position. Unbelievable. We should be good there. Let's track it backwards a couple of frames and then tell it to run through, and hopefully that will stay in position as it goes now. Okay, finally we managed to get it to go through. So now, in order to do the corner pinning, we need to make sure all the things are selected still, so double tap A until we have our markers selected, and again reconstruction link empties to track. Let's go back to our default scene. That's all we need to do, and our empties are quite large, so we're just going to reduce the size. Alrighty then. Now we have our tracks in the corners of our thing, so all we need to do now is bring in the bring in the door. Okay, so now we have our markers in place. We need to just make sure that nothing is sliding around, and to do that we'll just press pray. And they seem to be okay. Now we need this track to be solid or our results won't work properly. And if we do have problems like the track is jumping around, it did jump a little bit there, but I think we can get away with that just for one frame. We'll see how it goes. If we do have problems, we can always go back to our tracking scene and make the adjustments to the track, and it will automatically update the data on the empties. So let's go back to the first frame, and if I drop the 3D cursor just over the door, and now we need to import the image, and the best way to do that is to open the user preferences, and under add-ons just ensure that you have the import images as planes plugin activated. It comes default with Blender, so you don't need to download it from anywhere. Just turn it on in the user preferences, and then you will find it under File, Import, Images as Planes, and it will bring you to your file browser. And we want an image of a door, which you can download from anywhere or draw it yourself or take a photo, whatever you need to do. I can't include this in the track. I might be able to. I think it's Creative Commons, so I'll probably include it in the asset pack. Now, what we need to do is turn this door into this door. So we need to bring these markers onto the empties, and then we need to use what is called a hook modifier. But rather than adding the modifier, which takes time to set up and doesn't always work, we're going to use a keyboard shortcut which sets everything up automatically. But in order to do that, first we need to get the vertices into the position of the empties. And to do that, we're just going to select the first empty and then press Shift S and snap cursor to selected. Now the cursor is in the correct position. We can Shift select the plane, Tab to go into edit mode, and then we want to simply select the top vertex that corresponds to the empty there, Shift S, and this time we choose selection to cursor. There we go, and that snaps the vertex into exactly the right position, and then we simply need to use the hook modifier to connect them both together. So if I press Ctrl H, it brings up the menu, and we want to hook to selected object. And because the empty was selected before we went into edit mode, it will hook this vertex onto this empty. And as you can see, we have a hook modifier is applied, and it tells us which track is hooked. Now we need to do that for the other four corners, so if I press Tab to go out, select the next corner, Shift S, cursor to selected, hold down Shift and select the plane. So the plane and the empty are selected, with the plane as the active object. Press Tab. Now select the relevant empty. Shift S. Selection to cursor. And again, that snaps it into the right position. Ctrl H and hook to selected object. You see we now have a list of more options, but we don't need to worry about any of those. We just again hook to selected object. And we carry on. Tab, select the empty, Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift select the plane, Tab, select the vertex, Shift S, selection to cursor, Control H, hook to selected object, Tab, select the final empty, and again the procedure, Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift Tab, Shift select, Tab, select the vertex, Shift S, selection to cursor, Control H, hook to selected object, and that's all the objects done. Now if I go back to material view, we can now see that our image is covering over the door, and if we press the play button, nothing happens, and the reason for that is we are in edit mode, and modifiers don't work generally in edit mode, so make sure we go to object mode. Now if we play through, you should see the door maintains its position as the video plays through. Okay, as we can see that's working, so all we need to do now is composite this image onto our video clip. So let's go and do that. First go to the render settings, and we are in Blender Render Engine, and we want under shading alpha and change it from sky to transparent so that when we render we don't get any of the background. We just get a nice alpha channel, and then we can hit render to do one frame. Now bear in mind it's at 50%, so let's change that and render again. So we do it at full size. There we go. Now a bit of a disclaimer, Blender Render Engine is not going to be available in the newest releases. So if you open up Blender and find you don't have that, you may have Eevee or you may have nothing, it depends on your version. Don't worry about it, you can do this in cycles, it just takes a little bit longer to render. So now we have that, let's go to our compositing window. We will click on, make sure that we are in compositing, click use nodes and backdrop. And we are automatically given a render layers node. And we want to Shift A, add input movie clip. And let's take this full screen with Control up arrow. And we'll open up our movie clip. I'm going to hold Control and Shift and click on movie clip node, and that will give us our viewer node. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is connect these two together, and to do that we will use what is known as the alpha over. So Shift A, color, alpha over, and we will drop that guy in the top and drop the rendered image into the bottom, and there we go. That is exactly what we need. If I connect those two together, that's the job done. Now all you need to do is render that out, that out, and you have your image. However, you can obviously go a bit further, add some filters. Why not? Oh, it's taking too long to play with. Add some filters. Shift A. Add a color balance node. Put that in and play with the shadows and highlights a little bit. Oh, we just won't. Okay, and that's all we need to do. We can simply now render that out, and if you wanted to add some color correction or anything, you could do that beforehand. So let's go back to previous and start rendering, and once we've done that, we should have play rendered animation. There we go. And there we go. As you can see, the door fits perfectly over into the surrounding frame, and the original clip is hidden away, and that's all there is to it. However, there are of course limitations to this process. As we mentioned before, you can't pin something if there's nothing to track. You need the 4 points to be in the correct position that you are working, and fortunately there is a way around this as long as you've got something to track on the plane in front of you, and we will be looking at that in our next video, so hit the subscribe button so you don't miss it, and also you can visit our website for a written so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it, and you can visit our website for the full written rundown of this procedure and download the video clips used in this tutorial. But for now, that's it. A quick video, hopefully. And if you want to help this channel out, you can subscribe to our Patreon channel for just a small donation each month. That helps the channel to keep going, and I don't have to wait until I have a lull in my workload. So it's up to you. Anyway, I will see you in the next video regardless. Hopefully it will be out soon. A lot sooner than this one anyway. Right, so, okie dokie. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.